Did they make
No,
contact?
I don't know. It's pretty close, but this is going to be a drag race.
Right
Look
there.
at this.
Moves
Wow.
him to win it. Carl Edwards bump and dump and run.
Here comes Gordon right up to the bumper again. The bump and run.
There it is.
Didn't mean to really turn around, meant to Reilly's cage up.
Oh, yeah, welcome to the Bump and Run podcast. I'm your host, Michael D. White, joined by my two best friends, Matt the Statman Reilly and Eric Daytona Ron. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys had yourselves a Joey Logano type of weekend. The man knows how to win an inaugural race. Oh, man, Bristol Dirt, Clash of the Coliseum, and now the first race down at World Wide Technology Raceway in Gateway. The first cup race, at least. The trucks have been going there for years, Xfinity and whatnot. But first, I gotta say, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Shout out to all the friends of the show. Shout out to Charlie Warner, always commenting on YouTube. Him and his family went down to Gateway. Hope you guys had a great time. I know Chase didn't give you the day you were hoping for. Matt the Statman feels your pain too. We'll get all into it. But make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. Show available every Monday night. Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and more. And YouTube Tuesday morning. What's up, Statman?
I was going to say, while we're doing shout-outs, real quick shout-out to our buddy, listener of the show, Carmen and his fiancée, Julie. We will be going to their wedding this upcoming weekend.
That's
so
true.
Just a real quick shout-out to him. I'm sure he's busy. Don't know if he'll be listening this week, but just want to say congratulations to them real quick.
Yeah, I know Carmen listens at work a lot of times. So, Carmen, big congratulations before the big day. We'll see you on Saturday, buddy. Looking forward to it. But... yeah, make sure you like, share, subscribe, follow us on Twitter at bumptheletterandrunpod.com, and check out our gambling videos on Saturday. Might be this Sunday because of Carmen's wedding, but if you followed some of my advice, you might have made some money. I told you bet Eric Almirola for a top 10. I told you bet Eric Jones for a top 10. I told you bet Ryan Blaney for a top 3. He didn't quite get there, but he was super close, and the stat man, Matt Reilly, picked our third winner for the third week in a row. He told you pick Joey Logano before practice and qualifying or all that stuff. And Joey Logano won. He got it done down in St. Louis. But fellas, how you doing? Daytona Ron, Statman Matt, how's your guys' weekend besides the race?
It's fantastic. We got to see each other. We were at our buddy Mike had a pig roast at his house.
Yeah,
and we were all there. We got to hang out and shoot the shit. Watch the end of the trucks on my phone there, or was it Xfinity? End of Xfinity race on my phone, and yeah, got to have a couple beers together. It was good seeing you boys.
Oh yeah, saw a lot of people we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah.
It was almost like a little reunion there at the Gallagher household. There, it was good seeing everybody there, and face to face, get to bullshit there, and get into some good conversations with the fellas you haven't seen in a while.
I feel like
it's always. I was gonna say it's always fun getting together with everyone like that, because old stories percolate, and like my God, like for the listeners out there, if you don't know, like all of us have been friends since high school or even past then. And we all kind of grew up together and got in trouble together, had fun together. And some of the stories that we can't tell, most of the stories that we probably can't tell on air. But when we all get together and we start telling some of those stories, a lot of them you forgot about until you start talking about them. And oh my God, you can write a book on some of this stuff.
A lot of them you wish other people forgot about them.
Yeah,
because you're embarrassed by them. Yeah. But yeah, it was definitely a great time on Saturday night at the pig roast. I don't know about you guys though. I got bitten up like crazy by mosquitoes. We had some cigars rolling, but they didn't keep the mosquitoes away quite as well as I hoped. But
that's why you wear jeans and boots. I know Matt was there and he was busting somebody. Why are you wearing jeans? It's 85 degrees out. You want to know why? Because my ankles didn't get bitten up. And at one point, I was
chilly,
watching you,
dude.
Matt. You were standing there and you kept rubbing the back of your legs with your shoe because they were biting you like a son of a bitch, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Who's the smart one now with the jeans on?
I made fun of everyone for wearing jeans. I'm like, what's Bernie doing wearing jeans? It's 85 degrees outside, and Eric's standing there, our buddy Mike's standing there. They're like, oh, we're wearing jeans. I'm like, oh, okay. And And then here I am scratching my legs because I got bit by a mosquito. So
well, Matt,
I inserted my foot right in my mouth.
Matt, I'm scratching right there with you. I wore shorts. I didn't even think about it being that close to the river and whatnot. And then it got chilly. I was driving home. I had to put the heat on in the car. It was freezing cold. But definitely a great Saturday night. Great Sunday of racing. You guys want to jump into the whole NASCAR weekend, though?
Oh, yeah.
First, we got a little NASCAR news to attend to. Something we missed on last week's episode. It's been confirmed Phoenix will host the championship race again in 2023. I know, Matt, you were all fired up about this news. If you're familiar with the show, you know we're not big fans of Phoenix. So
what are we doing, NASCAR? Get it together, NASCAR. What are we doing?
You're doing this? Yeah, like you're doing all this change. You're doing all of this good stuff, this momentum, and you're derailing it with having it Phoenix again. I mean, you know, the change has been great. Mixing up the schedule has been great. So why not mix up where the championship race is, especially after what, you know, Phoenix has been producing, which it's not the greatest racing. So, yeah, I think this is a big bust as far as NASCAR goes here with this. So hopefully, you know, by that point, we'll have a full season under our belt with this car, and it'll be better than it was when we were there earlier. So I guess all we have to do, since it's a definite, is be optimistic.
I tell you,
and it's not just a complete like screw Phoenix thing either. It's also the fact that, in my mind, and it's just my opinion, one man's opinion, we have so many better tracks that produce so much better racing. And I understand it's late in the season, you have to factor in weather, but there's so many tracks in the South that we have. Like Homestead was great. We should have never taken it away from Homestead.
I love Homestead.
You've got Nashville. I know we've talked about this before. You know, Bristol might run the risk that time of year of some colder weather, but I don't know. I would like to see it elsewhere. That's for sure.
The problem is the people keep showing up, and they do pack the grandstands. They do pack that big hill and everything. So they do get a great crowd for the championship weekend, and they do really embrace the NASCAR culture out there. But like you said, I don't think the track produces that great of racing. I say start the season in California at the Clash, end the season in Fontana at Auto Club. I think that track put on such great racing this year. Give them a chance. You know, start and end in California.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. I want to see Nashville. You know, we have our championship weekend there anyway after the season's over. Just wrap it up there.
Throw it all into one package.
Championship at either one of the tracks, the Speedway or the Fairgrounds, and keep it rolling for the week after that with the championship week.
I agree. And speaking of Nashville, it's coming up. This week we got Sonoma. We got an off week. And then we have Nashville. You know what that means, boys? Fox is done.
Here, baby. Let's go. Get those sons of bitches out of here and never come back again.
Listen to me, Fox. You guys have done us wrong a million times this year. I can look past all of that. What I cannot look past is apparently, because we didn't see it yesterday, during the pace laps in St. Louis, there were pyros
crazy
going off
pyrotechnics
on the backstretch, and a beautiful scene with explosions and everything, you know, because it's the inaugural race. You want to start it off with a literal bang, and Fox didn't show it. I can't forgive
Unbelievable.
that.
When I saw that today, I was like, how do you not show a huge explosion to start this? Like, it was – they just are so incompetent at this point in time. It almost makes me feel like it's on purpose. They're that bad.
It feels like they're really tanking it on purpose.
Yeah,
I just can't wait till NBC takes over at Nashville, and hopefully we see. I mean, I'm pretty sure we'll see a nice, much more polished product.
I know last week, I think it was last week, I apologized for, you know, we're always bashing Fox. We don't want to become that show. At this point, I don't care because it's everyone, and it's not
everybody
just us, everybody agrees. So.
Like,
it's just, I think that Whitey, you have a tinfoil hat that you've actually made for this week. I don't have one. So I wish you could hand it over to me. I would put it on.
I'll put it on for you right now.
Put it on for me. It's the ugliest, most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Well, I threw it together before the show.
Think Fox already knows that they're not getting renewed for the next TV contracts, and I think they're just mailing it in.
You know what's going to happen?
What my theory is.
You know what's going to happen? Our luck, NBC is going to go, we're putting all our money into IndyCar. We're gonna try to revive it, like F1 and ESPN, and then Fox is gonna get everything, and we're gonna be stuck with Fox for like a decade. It's gonna be the longest television contract in sports history, and we're gonna be stuck. And you know what? You know who's even fed up with Fox's bullshit? Mike Joy. You can hear it in his voice every week. Did you hear him? Or like Clint's like, don't you love NASCAR overtime? He's like, no. He's like, no. He's like, let me rephrase that. I'm glad we don't finish under caution, but I wanted to see a nice clean race there. But Phoenix championship race. I don't know how we got on Fox already, but yeah, we're going back to Phoenix next year. Hopefully this year's championship race is better than last year's. Let's see. Oh, MTJ's silly season still sounds like he doesn't have a clue if he wants to return yet or not. And apparently it's all in his hands. Like the sponsorship's ready to get behind him. Joe Gibbs is ready to sign him again. It's really Martin just kind of dragging his feet week to week, wondering if he still wants to do this, which I kind of understand. I feel like he's doing pretty well in the standings. But he still hasn't gotten that win. And, I don't know. I feel like he's not much of a factor. Like he'll lead 40 laps and then that's it, right? Like, am I?
Yeah, I mean, we're just a couple.
But
years
I
removed.
think this week coming up is gonna be one of those tracks where I think he could turn this whole ship around. And Toyota, the way that they have been running, Chevys kind of were dominating the early season. Now it's kind of tides are turning over to Fords and Toyotas are kind of coming off them haulers with speed. So we all know how well he is here, and. I just think this, if there's any week for him to get that ship straightened, it's this week.
Not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I vehemently agree with what Eric just said. As a matter of fact, and I know we'll get to it at the end of the show when we do our Sonoma preview, but I think Toyota is bound to dominate next week.
You want to what? Fuck it. I'm throwing the tinfoil hat back on. I agree. I think Toyota is going to dominate. You want to know why? Because Toyota is one of the title sponsors of the race out in Sonoma. It's the Toyota /Save Mart 350 on FS1. And Toyota was doing real bad until we got to Richmond. Toyota was the sponsor there, and Denny Hamlin pulled one out of his tinfoil hat, so to speak.
Wow.
But I agree with you guys. No, I think Toyota's been running really well lately. Chevy's kind of fallen off, and Ford was looking pretty good this week too. I mean, obviously. But yeah, no, I think we'll get into that later on in the show, a little preview. But let's move on. I do have a short NASCAR history this week. I saw it on a tweet, and it made me burst out laughing. I hope you guys enjoy it.
Oh God.
This one is from NASCARman_RR on Twitter, a fantastic follow on Twitter. He does a lot of NASCAR history and stuff. And on this date in 1968, June 6th, Buddy Baker crashed hard at Smoky Mountain Raceway. They got him out of the car, loaded him up onto a stretcher, and put him in the ambulance. The thing is, they forgot to close the ambulance back door. So when they stopped to cross over the track and get out of there, the doors came flying open. Old Buddy Baker was strapped to this gurney, went flying across the track through traffic because they're still under yellow at this point. There's cars going by, and he ended up in a little drainage ditch. And the ambulance driver, who Buddy Baker said was like a real small guy, comes running over. He goes, "Are you okay?" He goes, "No, I'm dead. Just leave me here."
Yeah. So Whitey, you retweeted from the podcast handle on Twitter, Buddy Baker telling that story, and the way he tells it,
it's just hysterical.
Burst out laughing. Yeah.
I didn't do the story justice. Head on over to our Twitter page, bump the letter N run pod. I retweeted it today from NASCAR Man, and the video of him telling that story is just classic.
It's just so fitting, though, that what happened after what I said last week with how they need to get their shit together
the
as far
AMR
as
safety team.
EMS,
yeah.
And then you have that history, and then the hosts of our in the truck series thing, and like it's just all just coming together, man. It's just all clicking on this end over here.
Oh yeah. Speaking of hosts of our and the truck series, you want to jump into the race weekend?
Yeah, let's do it.
Corey Heim getting his second win in the Truck Series, running part-time for Kyle Busch Motorsports. I feel like he was super dominant all day long. I don't know about you guys. Did you guys get a chance to watch the race?
I saw the last 2 laps on my phone at the pig roast we were at. That's all I saw.
Yeah, so I was listening to the race when I was cutting the grass on Saturday. So I was in and out, and it sounded like a great race. It sounded really good. Of course, we mentioned.
No, I'm sorry.
You saw the end of the Xfinity race.
The Xfinity race. The beers were flowing.
Oh,
my bad.
That was another wild one.
I didn't get to see any of the trucks or Xfinity. I was doing a little yard work as well on Saturday, cutting the grass and whatnot. Went down, and so I was kind of upset that I missed them, because some of the text messages coming through from you guys, and even some my buddy Jay, who was watching, he was going absolutely nuts, saying it was some of the best racing that he's seen. So I was kind of a little jealous that I was doing some yard work instead of watching some of those races.
Yeah, I was listening to the truck race on the MRN broadcast, and they were painting a really good picture, but like I feel like the whole time I was cutting the grass, Corey Heim was in the lead. And then I kind of missed the drama with Carson Hocevar, but if you missed that, you can check out on Twitter. There's a bunch of clips. He got into a pretty nasty accident. I guess he injured his foot or something, couldn't get out of the car, and the AMR safety team kind of took a while to get to him. And a lot of people were being very critical about the whole thing. I think you guys were kind of doing the same too. I know I was. I'm like, man, this guy's screaming in pain. But then I was listening to the morning drive, Brendan Gaughan.
Great point.
Who was he's a former driver. He was on today, and he was talking about, Carson put that window net down, and that's the signal to the team, like, hey, I'm okay, and you can kind of take your time. There's no fire or anything that they see, so they're not really too worried about it. So I don't know, Eric, you brought it up before the show. Maybe he put the window net down to try to get out, and then couldn't get out and realized he was hurt too. But just one of those unfortunate situations. They're still waiting on an update from him. He's gotten like x-rays and all that. They're figuring out. He's at a specialist now, I think was the last tweet I saw from him.
It's unfortunate too, because he's been running. Actually, he wasn't really running that well from the little bit that I saw on Saturday. He wasn't really running that well at Gateway, but leading up to that race, he's been knocking on the door of a win. And now if he's injured, if he has to, I don't want to speculate, but if he has to step away for any amount of time, that stinks, because he really had momentum on his side.
Yeah, and that just kills your momentum for the playoffs too, especially a week before going into a road course where you're really working those pedals all night and all day long too. So, but big congratulations, Corey Heim, dude, killing it, running part-time, second win of the season, in those KBM machines. Speaking of killing it, Xfinity Series, AJ Allmendinger, your winner. He also got himself a top 10 the next day in Gateway, pulling double duty out in Portland for the Xfinity race, flying back to Gateway for the Cup race. And Matt, like you said, our Eric, like you said, our buddy Jay was losing his mind watching this race out in Portland. As soon as I got to the party, that's all he talked about. He's like, dude, Whitey was fucking insane. The rain was coming down. Everybody's wrecking. Ty Gibbs is pissing everybody off. I'm like, man, I feel like I missed like an insane one. I watched the highlights today just to see everything going on, but it was why
wild. I turned it on. I got there and I said hello to everyone, and I get to Jay and Shrey. We're at the same table there, and Shrey's like, dude, there's gonna be a fight after the party, or there's gonna be a fight after the race. There's gonna be a fight after the race. He's like, Gregson and Ty Gibbs are gonna fight. I'm like, yes, let's go. So that's when I turned it on, and Jay came over and he's like, dude, this has been the best road course race I've ever seen.
Yeah,
like, all right, let's go. Let's go. So I turned it on, and by the time the internet service kicked in and everything, there was only a handful of laps left. But yeah, I heard it was a really good race.
Apparently, it was a great turnout too for the crowd and everything. Despite the rain, they were happy we were out there. I know a lot of teams were unhappy; they had to go out to Portland with the added expenses and all that. But that's
I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah, it's part of the business. You factor that into your yearly budget. Yep.
If you can't, like you said, Whitey, I know we don't have to get into what was said on Twitter, but if you can't do it, don't do it.
Don't do it. Yeah.
If you're going to lose money and then complain about it, then don't do it.
Then you're not running a good business. You're in the wrong business, you know? But yeah, that ending was awesome too. I enjoyed the little bit that I saw in the highlights. And man, Ty Gibbs just making enemies left and right. He was like a bull in a china shop too. I kind of felt bad for Jesse Iwuji too, because like, you know, people were really shitting on him because, you know, his team, and he's honestly not the best driver. He's always a couple seconds off the pace. That him and Emmett Smith's team, not the best equipment, I don't think. Like, they're really struggling. And he was like the lucky dog. He was just trying to pass to get his lap back. And I guess Ty Gibbs was scrubbing his tires or whatever, and they made contact, and it looked I feel like worse than it actually was, but that must have set him off, because then he got into Sheldon Creed. He spun him out. Sheldon Creed was flipping him off. He just got into everybody. Just a wild race out in the Pacific Northwest. And then it was a wild cup race on Sunday. Joey Logano led 2 times for 22 laps, putting the 22 in victory lane. I thought that was very fitting. But I thought it was a great race. 3 hours, 7 minutes, 34 seconds. We saw 10 cautions for 53 laps, 12 lead changes among 9 different drivers. So not as much passing as we've seen in the last couple of weeks, but it's still a pretty decent amount of passing, I thought. Your top 5, Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, Ryan Blaney, Eric Almirola. Really thought Blaney had a chance to win there. Had some bad luck throughout. But what'd you guys think of the race? You want to jump into the race grades? All right, we'll start with Matt. I think we started with Eric last week, so we'll start with Matt this week.
All right, so I ended up giving it a B+. As you guys know, we talked this morning. I originally had this race graded as an A, but after thinking about it, you know, the most enjoyable part of the race was the battle at the very end.
Yeah.
With Joey and Kyle Busch. And then other than that, I feel like looking back on it, like the rest of the race was just drama with Ross and Denny and Ross and Chase and Denny and Ricky. And it was just more of like a drama fest the whole race. You know, was it enjoyable? Yeah. Did I enjoy it? Sure I did. You know, you got your excitement, you got your drama. It kept me fully engaged the entire race.
Yeah.
But when the drama is coming from something other than the actual racing itself, I can't in right mind put a race in an A grade. That's just me. So I had time to think about it. I knocked it down to a B+. Still enjoyable, like I said, but maybe for some of the wrong reasons, right?
Yeah, I feel like the drama overshadowed the actual racing on track, where we kind of like, I don't know about you guys, but like I was kind of ignoring everything else going on. I wasn't really paying attention.
Fox was even ignoring everything else that was going on. You know, it was just kind of hard to pay attention to the actual racing, because you had this like every 5 or 10 laps, it was like, well, here comes Ross Chastain and Denny again. They're passing each other. Let's see what happens. And it just seemed like that just carried on the whole race. And I just thought to myself, like, if it wasn't for that storyline and the whole Ross Chastain having a reckless day storyline, would the race have been that interesting? And I don't know. Like, I don't know, because we didn't see that. We had blurred vision the whole time because we were dealing with this drama. So, and listen, still exciting. I'll still take my excitement any way I can get it. I'd rather,
for sure.
Like I said, I'd rather have it be from actual racing. But you know, I gave it a B+, so not awful. But next year, I'd like to see some actual better racing.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. Everything you said. How about you, Eric? What was your race grade? What did you think of it?
I'm opposite, man. I gave this thing an A, dude. It almost feels like I was watching a completely different race than you guys were.
Yeah.
I thought there was everything you needed. I mean, sometimes, like you said, yeah, there was drama that kind of overshadowed, but you know, that's what happened this week. Just like how some weeks, you know, you're going to get a dud of a race where it's completely terrible. I can't change my grade based on a what if that drama didn't happen. It did happen. We're seeing it. That's what was keeping the race. That was the exciting part of the race. So you can't say the race wasn't exciting or good, because I was following a different race via my driver, I think. And I think that's where I like it that I'm an Eric Jones fan, because he tends to run a little bit farther back in the field and runs a typical different race than some of these other guys. So I'm watching, sometimes I'm watching a different race altogether because of my driver. And I just had a blast watching him come up through the field. He didn't qualify that well. From the beginning, when I saw that crowd and the anthem and everything, like that just fired me up and put me in a spot where like I could not wait to see this racing go down. And 3 wide, 4 wide all day.
That was pretty insane.
It just to me, like, how is that not exciting when you see these cars going 3 wide, 4 wide, and and you would almost get stuck because you would have to do that because the passing, like Whitey said, kind of really wasn't there. You needed to really have a good car underneath you. I don't know. I really, really enjoyed that race.
I did too. And yeah, we did have our 3 wide or 4 wide, even 5 wide at one point. They were yelling, "Oh my God, it's 5 wide!" And they show, and there's 5 cars going. I have no idea how they fit down the track that way, but it had its moments. Like, don't get me wrong, and I did enjoy it. I just think it was hampered a little bit by the drama storyline that really didn't have anything to do with pure racing. Not that I'm like a racing purist. I'm really not. Like I said, I'll take my excitement and my drama any way I can have it, really, at the end of the day. And I don't want to make it sound like I'm complaining, because I'm not. I enjoyed yesterday. I just prefer when my excitement and drama comes from side-by-side passing and exciting racing from start to finish.
Like 4 guys under a blanket racing for the lead, like
right.
swapping
and we've
positions
had races like that this year where,
exactly.
we were able to see that. So it's almost that these cars are so good and that we've had such an amazing season this year that even a good race like yesterday doesn't get an A from me just because it's not.
We've seen so much better
as good as all these other great races that we've had.
And
see, and I'm more or less willing to have different standards when it comes to an A than you are. Like, I am willing to look at it from a different angle and say, okay, this was an A for, these reasons. Right. I'm still willing to give this race an A for these reasons as well, so it's like, that's why I think it's different. I could definitely see it from that point, but the end that the 18 and the 22, the slide jobs back and forth for the lead, the tire issues again, it made pit road what was a big, thing, jumping spots, +6, +7, 2 tires, 4 tires. So like, I don't know, man, I was just, the last couple of weeks, I was just so invested in the race. And I don't know if watching it with a group of people, and we were over our buddy Kevin Dowse's house, he had the TV out on the deck, and like, it just, the atmosphere, I don't know. I just really, really enjoyed the race. Like, I think everybody was so in tune to it too. And it was, I don't know if that's really maybe affecting like me enjoying these races so much, is the fact that I'm getting a at the racetrack feel.
I think so.
While watching it. So like, I'm just maybe the reactions of everybody is feeding into mine, or maybe me commentating on the race. Everybody, like, it's just I've been really, really enjoying this racing, no matter how I get it.
I think that's one of the reasons why, and I know I'm very biased when I say this, why I feel like our show we just have a different perspective, because all 3 of us take the race in just a little bit differently, where all 3 of us really do see the race kind of from a different lens. But that's nothing but a good thing, because we're showing all these different perspectives of how we all took in the race. So I really like that dynamic, and it's why this is probably the Race Grade is probably my favorite segment of what we do, because we get to see all 3 different dynamics, right. and I think that's unique about this show.
And I took the race in hungover on the couch and feeling crummy.
See?
So no, I'm kind of like Matt, where I started as an A and I kind of talked myself out of it, and like, so for instance, I'm looking at my notes from last week. We gave the Coke 600 an A. We saw 31 lead changes between 13 different guys. Like, a lot of people were swapping for the lead. It was a long race, but I saw all the things I wanted to see in the race. And I might have seen them in Gateway too, but I feel like it was overshadowed by the drama, where like it kind of took me out of the actual race and I was just focusing on the drama, where like I might have missed something, I enjoyed it. And I think that's another thing too, where we're kind of spoiled right now with seeing such great racing week after week, where like I haven't had the reality check of a bad race since Richmond. And that wasn't even a bad race. It was just a different, pit strategy race. What was the next bad? There was a bad one in between.
Martinsville was a bad race.
Martinsville, and that was like a temperature deal, at least we think. So like, I think maybe because I'm just spoiled where I'm like, well, now I'm kind of rethinking what I give an A, because now we're seeing, A after A after A. Well, maybe this is more like a B. And that's kind of where my mind went today as I was going through it. Because I started as an A. I'm like, oh, that was a great race. It was an A. But I'm like, was it a great race, though? Like, I don't...
You're overanalyzing it. Like, how you feel when you watch that and you're into it. Like, that's kind of what I go for. Like, I could definitely critique the race and nitpick and be like, oh, well, that was this, and this. Yeah. Did, the Chastain thing, did they spend a lot of time on that? Yes. And should they have, gone to some battles on the racetrack instead? Yes. But I think that's a Fox thing, not an actual, the race's problem. You know what I mean? Sometimes that Fox has been ruining some of these races by not showing and kind of sticking to these gimmicks. Or we saw in the beginning with the Elliott and the Larson ordeal when they try to make, the two guys dressed like that. They try too much sometimes to make something a thing.
And now we had real drama to see.
I think they had something. Well, make sure every time you're on them. Make sure every time you're on them. And, I think they might have gotten a little carried away with that. And I could see it definitely, washing some of the race that was going on.
You know what's a blessing in disguise, though, dude, that I just thought about? What's one word that we've barely said this year? Package.
Oh, yeah, we
don't
talk about the
package.
Talk
about a package ruining a race, a package making a race. We haven't had to talk about that this year.
Well, because
it's amazing.
It's more or less the tire now.
Well, yes.
Right.
It's tire and temperature is the new package, I feel like.
The word package has been replaced by tires and the new car. The new car's great. The new car's the best. The package sucks. The new car's great. I feel like they're kind of interchangeable. But so back to overanalyzing the race and everything, though. You know how when people say like, "Oh, grade it on a scale 1 to 10," everyone always says 7, no matter what. Like, I feel like 7's always the default. I feel like right now we're kind of like we've been seeing such good races where like I want to default to like a high grade where I'm like, oh, maybe I need to nitpick it a little bit just to bring it down. But no, like I still think it was super entertaining. I thought we saw a great race. It was interesting and fun. I think the crowd was great. I think the energy was good. I was glad that Gateway got the date that Pocono lost. At least it was a good crowd and people enjoyed it. And the racing was good, I just don't know if it was that A tier. And I feel like week to week that A tier changes. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I feel in my heart.
That's kind of what I would say. And like, I am okay with giving a race an A for 3 different reasons that I gave another race an A for. You know what I mean? Like, I don't necessarily have an A being like, you have to have this, this, and this. No, like, if it was exciting and enjoyable and I had a good time and everyone around me kind of had a good time and we came out of that with like, oh my God, what did we just see? That was crazy.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that into consideration, you know what I mean? And not really like say, oh, it didn't fit this, certain bullet point, that I have for an A. I kind of have that interchangeable.
You want to know what? I think I need to judge it by how many times the dog gets concerned for me. And she only got concerned for me one time. She came over to check on me, and it was when, holy shit, Eric Jones just made up 6 spots on pit road and took the lead, and then he lost. He ended up starting second. It was like by an inch there, and then took the lead on that restart. I thought that was awesome,
See, and like me, like I'm there, and it's like, okay, it's Eric Jones and the Candyman on the front row, and like I'm over Dallas, our buddy's house, who he's a Kyle Busch fan, so like we're watching it, we're standing next to each other, we're both having a beer, I'm busting him, like I'm like, let's go, getting excited for the restart. So like how you guys could see, like as a listener, like I absorbed this race, different than you two did. So like sometimes, I mean, granted, I've been, watching these races with people the last couple of weeks, so I guess you're right in a way. the good racing has been spoiling us in a way where people want to have a party. You know, it's not like, oh, that race sucked, I don't want to come over this week. It's like now people are fighting like, hey, where are we watching the race? Your house, my house? Hey, I want to host the party, watch the race, you know? So like the buzz is real, you know, and this new next gen car, I could probably put it as my checkers every week as to why this racing has been
for sure
so good with the composite body. Like even Dallas was saying, like this body, we were watching people hit the wall and hit each other, and like it was doing nothing to the cars. And you know how many cut tires we're not saying, you know, as far as package, Matt. We're not talking about these, you know, cut tires from the rubs of the fenders anymore because these composite bodies just hold up so well. And yeah, this car is it's changing the sport for the good here.
Speaking of checkers every week, though, you want to jump into the checkers and wreckers for this weekend? Let's do it. All right, let's start with you, Eric, since we started with Matt with the race grades. What's your checkers and wreckers?
My checkers goes to AJ Allmendinger, to go out there and, you know, race in the rain and get that victory and then have to fly back and come home with a top 10 finish. That's impressive. You know, I think his career resurgence, and, you know, I think he's getting a lot of respect out there. And I think there's good things to come for AJ Allmendinger in the Cup Series and Xfinity. And it's good to see the Dinger. I'm a fan of him. So to see his success, it was just something that I wanted to highlight for the listeners. I don't think we really mentioned him in recent episodes that much. And, you know, this just goes to show what kind of talent he has, and his resurgence is real.
It seems like he's having a lot of fun too, which is like, at the end of the day, I know it's a business. There's a lot of high stake value for these guys with big time money and everything. But what it all comes down to is like fun. And it seems like he's truly having fun right now, and he's just throwing caution to the wind, and he's performing really well.
I could see that firsthand with Eric Jones. I could see him. He's having a lot more fun this year behind the wheel as well. He's not concerned about a contract. He's not concerned about where I might end up or why I'm having so many. No, he's just out there saying, you know what? Let's just figure this car out. Let's have fun. And he seems to be enjoying himself and not putting any pressure on him, and just going out there and doing what he does is just get behind the wheel of a race car and wheel that sumbitch. And, you know, when you race and you're having fun doing it instead of trying too hard and being aggressive, and, you know, it's a totally different ball game. So, I had to give my checkers to the Dinger.
Yeah, I agree. And I think just like that whole second, I feel like he has a second lease on his NASCAR life, you know, because it wasn't just a couple years ago. He was in the Fox booth analyzing the races and everything. And then, you know, he started running part-time for Colleague, kind of, you know, brought in as the road course ringer, kind of a one-trick pony. And over the last couple of years, he's shown us like, no, he could win anywhere. Like, he's always a factor now. He's not just the road course ringer we heard of for years and years, where now he's going out there, he's kind of beating up on some of these young guns and just really enjoying it, you know, and then runs the occasional cup race on a Sunday and competes for top 10s and top 5s there too. You know, he got a top 10 this weekend in the Cup Series too, helping them out, try to get that second Colleague car going in the right direction. So yeah, I love the Dinger. How about your wreckers for the weekend?
My wreckers, I mean, there's obviously a blatant one, but I didn't like that last caution coming out. I know it wasn't like a debris caution, a phantom caution that NASCAR, you know, in years past loved to throw at the end of races like that. You know, but I just would have loved to see how that ensued. And, you know, if that could have reignited the Logano Kyle Busch feud. And, you know, Logano, he tends to, you know, never pass clean for a win. Yeah. And I can't remember the last time Kyle Busch really dumped somebody for a win either. So I was kind of hoping for a little bit of feud between them guys, you know, being with all of the other feuds going down during the race. I just thought that was right for another drama. One. And I just would have liked to see that ensue, because I think it would have been, I mean, not that the ending wasn't good either way with the caution coming out. I just would have liked to see it play out like Mike Joy said, you know, just organically.
Naturally. Like, yeah. The one thing I forget who tweeted it, so I can't, you know, I can't give them credit or anything, but something along the lines of like, Wow, what a weird race. It might have even been NASCAR Chasm. What a weird race that we're watching where Kyle Busch and Joey Logano are the clean ones here.
Yeah, that is pretty wild when you think about it. No, for real. I was happy for that late race caution, though. Got Tyler Reddick back on the lead lap and kind of salvaged the day after a mishap on pit road and then a spin himself. But Matt, how about you? What's your checkers and records for the weekend?
Yeah, just real quick. I agreed with Eric. I was so into that battle before that caution came out. Like I who knows, Logano might have caught him. He might, Kyle Busch might have bobbled. We never know. We did get a fun restart.
But they were both bobbling. You know what I mean? Like Kyle Busch slipped up, and then Joey's like, oh, he tried to go for it, and then he slipped up, and it was just. Yeah. I would have really, really enjoyed that last little bit there.
I would have too. We had a fun overtime and everything, and it was still a good battle at the. I feel like they picked up right where they left off before the caution, but I would have liked to see that play out naturally. But so my checkers goes to. We kind of talked about a little bit about both my checkers and my wreckers. My checkers goes to St. Louis and World Wide Technology Raceway. They begged for a cup race for years. They were getting the truck races, and they said, bring us the big guys. Give us the cup race. They begged for it. At the expense of the Pocono date, St. Louis got their cup race. And, we're from the Pocono area. Pocono is our home track. We were salty about it, or at least I was. I don't want to speak for you guys, but I was salty about it. And
I think we all complained on this podcast. I think we're all salty about it.
Especially this week, you get all the memories on all your social medias. Reminder, this week, last year, you were doing this. And it's like the first week in June is we would always be at Pocono. So it was a little salty.
It was. And honestly, I probably, up until about a week ago, probably wasn't rooting for St. Louis, just being very selfish. And I take that back and I apologize because those people came out. Just hearing a lot of people call into SiriusXM NASCAR radio last week leading up to the race. You can tell the excitement. A lot of those people were like, hey, I'm from the area. We've been waiting for a cup race forever. I finally got all my friends to come because, the names that they know are coming and they really showed up and it was a good race like we've already discussed. And, good for those people. I
wasn't an empty checkers.
No,
there was not an empty seat. Not one. Like it was shoulder to shoulder. Like when they showed that crowd, I said it affected my race grade.
Yeah, no,
that crowd affected my race grade. When they showed that, I was like, oh my god, is this? I thought it was a rerun of of a '90s race at first. I'm like, this is awesome to see.
That's what I was gonna say. It looked like a '90s crowd, and like a lot of times you hear like, oh, it's sold out, and you'll still see spots in the crowd. Like I didn't see a single spot. Like you couldn't wedge another person in there,
which is amazing to see no matter where the race is at. Another thing I wanted to point out too is from all accounts from people at the track, apparently traffic was not an issue. They
said it was super smooth. Yeah.
So if you guys remember last year at Nashville, it was Nashville's first race there, cup race, and they had all sorts of issues with traffic. A lot of the people didn't get in there until midway through the first stage or later, and it was just a debacle. And that tends to happen at a lot of new racetracks where they don't really know how to handle the traffic yet or the traffic patterns, and it usually takes a few years. Apparently, World Wide Technology Raceway had it nailed down perfectly, and there were no problems, and that's also good to hear. You don't want to see people. We know how much it takes, money wise, how much it costs to go to these races sometimes, and you don't want to see people waste their hard-earned money sitting in traffic trying to get into the track. So it was good for those people that they got to see the race,
especially when gas just hit $5 a gallon in Pennsylvania. Jesus, oh my goodness. Side note, I hate to go on a rant or anything, but Saturday, our buddy Shredder, Robbie Shredder, he goes, just put $50 in and leave. Don't even just put 50 in and go. And I did that yesterday. I'm like, I'm just gonna get $30 worth of gas. I'm not even gonna look how much it gets me. I'm just gonna put 30 in, leave, and if I need to come back in 2 days, I'll come back in 2 days. This is fucking miserable. But how about your records? What's your records for the weekend?
So it's admittedly it's low-hanging fruit, but someone had to do it. It goes to Ross Chastain. I do want to preface it like, yes, he did take my guy Chase Elliott out, but I'm not going to absolutely obliterate Ross. He got out of the race.
He did have the field, though, in your defense. It wasn't just Chase. Like, he hit half the field.
Yeah. Right. And, I mean, he knew himself when he got out of the car what he had done. And that's kind of the reason after his post-race interview, and I know we're going to get into a little theory that actually all three of us, I guess, kind of have that about Ross's post-race interview. Get that tinfoil hat ready, Whitey. But before we get into that, I just wanted to say, he smashed everyone. He had, for somebody who I personally hold in high, he's a high caliber driver, and he's already proven this year and years past leading up to this year that he's got what it takes. Obviously, he's got 2 wins this year, but he's aggressive, and that's people know that he's aggressive, and there's a fine line between aggressive and dirty. And up until yesterday, he never crossed that line. He crossed that line where he was driving kind of dirty yesterday. It's almost like he didn't. He even said it. He didn't have control over some of his actions yesterday, and he wishes that he could have taken some of those moves back. And he's got a couple coming to him. And when you're somebody, we just talked about it last week. When you're somebody who is a championship contender, a championship 4 contender, you don't want to have a target on your back. And he just painted about 4 or 5 of them on his back. So I have a feeling that his playoffs are going to get very difficult if some of those guys are eliminated and they can throw caution to the wind. So it's just, you don't want to make enemies out there. He made a lot of them, and I have a feeling Ross is going to pay for it. I like Ross. I personally like Ross. I like his driving style, his aggressive driving style, not his scumbag driving style. But he's going to have to pay for it. So I just teased a tinfoil hat theory, and I know Whitey has a mouthful that he wants to get into, so go ahead.
So we brought it up a couple weeks ago in the pickle lane. I asked, what's the line for aggressive and everything? Because I was comparing Ross Chastain to Joey Logano, and I feel like Ross Chastain, you root for him because he is kind of the underdog and stuff like that. He's like the oh shucks type guy, kind of like Matt DiBenedetto was for a while. And Matt, you said you were really happy with his apology after the race, right? I'm putting the tinfoil hat on. I made it before the show. Covered the hat. If you're not watching on YouTube, I'm wearing an actual tinfoil hat right now. It
looks ridiculous.
It does look ridiculous.
Awesome.
So I'm wearing the tinfoil baseball hat. And I think Ross Chastain didn't feel guilty at all. I think he got out of that car. He goes, I'm going to drive just like this next week, too. I don't give a fuck. But I'm going to go, oh, man, yeah, I'm at the top level. I shouldn't be doing this. No, he's biding his time before he gets dumped at Sonoma this week. Someone's going to give him payback for something, And I like Ross Chastain. I pull for him every week. I think he's a great driver. But I've also been watching him for years in the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, and the Cup Series. And he's one of the most aggressive drivers there is. And I think he wanted to move Denny out of the way. He didn't want to put him in the wall, but he did, And then he's like, oh, shit, I fucked up, But I think he's going to still keep doing those same moves,
I agree. And Matt and I were talking before the show about it a little bit. And I kind of could see where you're coming from because, okay, it happened. You had a couple bonehead moves this one race. And, I do believe that he was sorry. Like he definitely owned up to his shit, which we all respect as a driver getting out. You own it. You have to own it when you mess up. And that was great. But at the same time, when your driving style is aggressive like his, you can't just change that automatically. That's ingrained in you as a driver. And I think if you try to change that, then you're going to change the whole dynamic of your season and where that is going. Him being aggressive has got him to where he's at right now. And if he lets this get to him, I know we said he was a championship contender last week, but we'll see mentally how he could be a championship contender after this goes down. Because if he does try and change his driving style because he's getting a little carried away, will that affect his performance? And when will he go back to that? Like you're saying, Whitey, where you think it's just, kind of a, I'm doing this because I know it's what I have to do in hopes that apologizing doesn't, it's not as bad. So I can't see it from both sides.
Look at 3 out of the next 4 races we go to. Sonoma Raceway, which there's going to be beating and banging. and then Nashville, which, is whatever. Then Road America, there's going to be beating and banging. And then Atlanta, where it's now
Super
quote-unquote
Speedway.
race. There's going to be a lot of contact in these next few races, so it's going to be really interesting. You almost want to stay away from Ross Chastain in gambling and fantasy, only because you're right. If yesterday was genuine when he got out of that car and he really was all beat up on himself, is that going to be in his head? Is that going to play a mental effect on the way he drives going forward? It's just going to be something where
that lurking thing. When is it going to happen? Like like Denny stated, it might not be this week. It's going to be meaningful race.
Yes.
And
for real.
So it might not be right now. And imagine that you're Ross Chastain wondering, when is this meaningful race? When is this going to happen to me?
Well,
and it's not just one guy with Denny. It's multiple drivers that he's going to have to worry about.
I can tell you when the meaningful races are, because the final race of the round of 16 is Bristol Motor Speedway, a short track that you could get away with ruining someone's day. And then the final race of the round of 12 is at Charlotte Motor Speedway at the Roval, a road course that you could move someone out of the way and ruin their day.
Look at Harvick and Chase last year.
And then if he survives all that, the round of 8, the last race is at Martinsville, where you could easily move someone out of the way and ruin their day and ruin their chances of a championship. So last week, we did talk about Ross being a championship 4 contender, possibly, and whether or not his aggressiveness could deter that. And last week I said, that's what's gonna get him far along in the playoffs. And now I'm thinking, well, maybe it won't get him that far in the playoffs. I don't know after what we just saw this weekend, but it should be interesting nonetheless.
I agree with you, Whitey, as far as like him just kind of being, fuck it, I'm gonna go back to being who I am, because, and even Denny said it, like, okay, you do it once, fine, bonehead move. He did it again and again and again, and even I had nothing. I'm like, okay, he's beating a bang or whatever. The last final restart, he was still doing it. He pushed Eric Jones 3 wide on that final restart and was beating and banging off of him. And I'm going, oh, you cocksucker better not rip Eric Jones now too. I'm like, you didn't learn? It's the final restart. And he was still making it 3 wide and overdriving into these turns. Like, dude, like he was just all around. And I'll maybe I have to make my tinfoil hat next week too. But like, it's just like Ross Chastain. He just didn't learn. He just didn't learn. I'm
putting the tinfoil hat back on because I just thought about it. Ross Chastain, he drove a lot in those trucks. He drove Gateway a lot in those trucks. Maybe he just forgot he was in the Cup Series this weekend, and he thought he had to perform like he did in the trucks, because those guys run all over each other every Friday and Saturday night anyways.
Well, if that's the case, that was a massive miscalculation on his part.
Massive.
He's gonna pay for it in a big way.
All right, I'm going to jump into my checkers and wreckers really quick, because I feel like mine are short, and then we can move on. I give my checkers to Zane Smith, man. Speaking of truck drivers, moving up from the truck series for a one-off. Of course, Chris Buescher tested positive for COVID-19, so he had to miss the race at Gateway. Zane got the news on Thursday, got seated and fitted on Thursday. What's that? Oh, never mind. Got seated.
Keep it moving.
He got his seat molded on Thursday. They had practice Friday, like just moving along really quickly. And he got himself a very, very respectable 17th place after starting 32nd. So putting that 17 car pretty much where it's been finishing all year anyway. So congratulations to Zane Smith. And then my wreckers, I got to give it to Matt's organization, Hendrick Motorsports, man. If you watched our betting video this past week, I said stay away from Kyle Larson and stay away from Chase Elliott. And boy, was I right. Hendrick just had not the best cars in practice. They massaged on him, but like Larson got a 12th place finish, Bowman 13th, then Byron got 19th and Chase 21st. No laps led for any of them.
Willie B, what was wrong with him all day? Like I noticed that because I love that Raptor car, and I'm like, man, he just got stuck in the back in that dirty air, and he just could not. Even on pit road, he couldn't make up time. Like he struggled all day.
No, and he struggled in practice and stuff too. When I was looking at the numbers during like when I was doing my research for the betting preview show on YouTube on Saturday, I was like, man, Hendrick is like way off. Of course, like Ford was on fire during practice and stuff too, and a lot of Chevys were kind of slow, but like Eric Jones had a fast car in practice. Tyler Reddick had a fast car in practice during 5 and 10 and 15 lap averages. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. had a fast car in practice. He didn't have a great car in the race, but like, so the Chevys were there, but man, Hendrick just missing the mark. I don't know what was going on over in that camp.
What happened to Bowman? Because I thought, and I could be wrong, but I thought on that final restart, I remember seeing that 48 up towards the front, thinking to myself, like, oh my God, like Bowman is really going to
steal a win,
figure out a way to back himself into a win. And he finished 13th. Did he just get shuffled back, or?
I mean, I don't remember where he started on that restart, to be honest with you.
I thought it was in the first 3 rows. I could be wrong, but I thought he was up towards the front.
But those, like we said earlier, those restarts were pretty insane, going 4 or even 5 wide at certain points. So he could have just gotten shuffled in the back. Who knows? Ross Chastain might have moved them out of the way. Who knows? So, we'll have to go back and see on that one. But yeah, that's just my checkers and wreckers for the weekend.
I feel like we should mention it. I don't know if you guys even saw it. Like just Kurt Busch almost running over the fucking pit crew after Denny, like, are we not talking about the Logano Denny feud with that? Like, and how Denny, like, he called Denny out and said he tried running over a pit crew. Like,
fuck that. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we can get into that.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump.
Then it almost happened again where, like, I think these crews are getting egregious with how far they're going out, because Kurt Busch almost ran over the 12s, I think, right rear tire changer wasn't it? Or like,
not to mention that pit lane was as wide as my fucking driveway.
Well,
like, it wasn't. There was nothing to it. Like,
well, let's jump into it right now, because if you didn't see it on Twitter, Bob Pockrass interviewed Joey Logano. Apparently, last week, Denny Hamlin might have slightly clipped one of Joey Logano's pit crew guys. And Logano goes, man, it was like a real dirty move, as kind of implying that was intentional, which I can't imagine any NASCAR driver doing that. And then Denny Hamlin responded, he goes, I didn't know. I didn't think I did. And then he watched the video, he goes, I guess I did. Like, that's on me, but like, I apologize. And it was a big deal going into the race on Sunday. And then I didn't even realize until you guys just brought it up right now on the show that Kurt Busch kind of did that same deal. So whose pit crew was it?
I think it was the 12 of Blaney was in front of him, and like his pit crew, like, and Denny mentioned in his interview, like, some of these pit guys are getting a little egregious in how wide they're going around these cars and where they're at. And, in that case with the Kurt Busch thing on Sunday, it just seemed like he was squeezed. Like he did all that he could do to not run into a car in his outside when he's exiting his pit box. And to me, like, the pit crew member looked outside of the box. And if you're outside of the box, you're putting yourself in danger. And Logano tried saying, like, we have to be more aware of that. But it's like, I think it goes both ways. I could see it where, like, yes, maybe we should be paying a little more attention instead of just trying to get these super fast stops and risk of injuring someone. But at the same time, these pit guys know what they're getting into, and they know how wide they're going. And, whether or not some of these guys, it is strategy in pits, whether they come in sideways at an angle, little out farther. You could screw somebody behind you or in front of you if you don't like them. So now I think they just need to clean it up all around.
Now that we're talking about it, I did see the picture. I didn't realize that was what the case was. It was a blue and a white car. So it was either Blaney or it was Briscoe. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It was Briscoe. He was parked at an angle in the pit box. Like, the tail end of his car was sticking out really bad too. So that puts your pit crew guys in a precarious situation there.
That's what Joey was saying too. Not that I'm excusing Joey calling Denny a scumbag, because he's pretty much saying that Denny purposely hit a pit crew guy, which I refuse. Don't matter how much I hate a guy, I refuse to say that a driver purposely ran someone over unless it was apparent, but or obvious. But
they're running over our parents. Whose parents?
By God, he's got a family.
By God, that man's got a family.
This show goes off the rails all the time. I love it.
Because you said a parent.
What Joey was saying
unless
was, like,
it's a parent. Whose parent? That's a bad joke.
Whitey,
Anyways,
Whitey, I got the joke. I didn't.
Well,
laugh
then
the
laugh,
first time.
damn it! Come on. Anyways, all right.
What Joey was saying was that you son of a bitch. What Joey was saying was that, like, even these pit crew guys play games. Like, there's a bunch, like, it's gamesmanship out there.
Right.
They know what they're doing by swinging wide outside of a car, hoping that the one behind them has to just slow up just a little bit. They know what they're doing, but they know the inherent risk of going out there. These pit crew guys are warriors. They know that at any moment they can get pinned, they can get run over, they can get run, they can get popped up on a hood. They just know that that's part of it. And it happens. I mean, it happens probably more often than we are even
realizing or told.
It's just when there's a big deal made about it because a driver says something about it.
I just think Joey, if he could go back, he would change the way he worded that, because even Bob was like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, I think Bob even took it as like, you just said he intentionally ran over somebody. Like, maybe you want to interpret that a little bit more. Like, so even it threw him off, who asked the question, Right. So I think Joey might have wanted to reword that, because when you say you call someone out for intentionally running someone over, it's
a pretty there, man.
Yeah. It's a pretty big claim,
Right,
like,
right.
I mean, but I can't imagine.
We had to bring that up. It popped in my head, and I knew it was a big deal going into it, and it kind of slipped my mind over the whole Chastain and Hamlin thing. It kind of like went to the dark side of the brain.
No, I'm glad you brought it up, because it is an interesting conversation to have, because, like, especially too, like, I couldn't imagine a driver doing it on purpose, but maybe desperation, you never know, screw up the leader's pit stop by slowing his pit crew down, and then you jump 2 spots to take the lead. I'm not saying it happens, but I don't know. You never know. You guys want to jump into the rest of the top 10 and go over some little race notes I got?
Let's hear it.
Yeah.
So, second place, Kyle Busch, great performance, led 4 times for 66 laps. I thought it was his day to win that race near the end, but that battle, him and Logano, super exciting. So, there's that. Kurt Busch led once for 12 laps, pulled himself a top 3. I think Kyle was hoping that Kurt would push him on that final restart, and it just never materialized. Kurt was getting ready to do it too. I heard the post-race interview between them saying, I forget what happened, something with the hand signal.
They were arguing back and forth out of the race cars. They were in a disagreement afterward. I think Kyle was supposed to throw a hand signal out there, and then Kurt didn't see it, or Kyle couldn't because Joey Logano was looking or something. I don't know. Apparently it was all jumbled up. I tell you what, Ryan Blaney, who I thought going into this race was going to win, he led once for 12 laps. He got into the wall though, right? Am I remembering that right? Yeah. Impressive day for hitting the wall, blowing that tire, and then coming back at the end. Like, getting yourself this car allows that to happen. Let's see. 5th place, Eric Almirola. I thought he had a great car all day long too. It was my gambling long shot. I told you bet on a top 10. And I brought this up to you guys too. During the broadcast, they compared the track to, of course, Darlington because of the shape of the track. They compared it to Phoenix because of the different turns and the way you'd have to set up the car. I even heard on Reddick's radio, his spotter goes, this is like turn 3 in Pocono where you want to be just outside the groove and stuff, which I thought was interesting as they're trying to figure out the track and everything. But from watching at home, I felt like I was watching a race at New Hampshire up in Loudon, with the long straightaways and then the sweeping turn. And I feel like that's the kind of track that Eric Almirola is really good at. Just those kind of a shorter mile track, 1.5 mile area-ish there, like the weird configurations, kind of like Homestead and stuff.
Flat too, New Hampshire. I think New Hampshire is the flattest track we go to.
Yeah,
and I yesterday looked pretty flat. I don't know about the
you know what they say. There's banking in Martinsville, but I don't believe it. I don't know where they're getting the banking from there. Yeah. But I don't know. I felt like Eric Almirola, if he could get a win before the end of his career here, I thought maybe yesterday could have been it, and still pulled off a top 5. So big congratulations to him. Stuart Haas Racing, man, struggling everywhere else though. Cole Custer crashing out. Zane Smith, a Truck Series regular, out racing Cole Custer. Get it together, Cole. I don't know.
I've been beating that drum for how many years now?
Yeah.
Cole Custer is, yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, Martin Truex Jr. pulled off a sixth place finish. He led once for 42 laps. I don't remember that, though, to be honest with you. I don't remember Martin Truex Jr. leading laps in this race.
Yeah,
was it during the drama?
I was with Colin, and I remember we were watching him lead those laps around there, and it was like you said, Whitey, like he kind of has that one stint of every race where he is out front, and then the whole rest of his race is kind of like, okay.
What part of the race was that, though? Was that during the drama? Did I get overshadowed and I missed Martin Truex Jr. leading?
It was in stage 3.
Okay.
Because certain guys, like you remember McDowell was leading stage 2, and then those guys they
shuffled up.
It was the shuffling up of people coming in with the pits and end of stage that bumped guys up front. Yeah.
Now I remember why I missed it. Because I was listening to a certain driver's scanner channel, listen to him freak out because he spun himself out and had some issues on pit road. No, him and Martin Truex Jr. were on the same pit strategy, and he would have shuffled out to the front there too. Son of a bitch, what a day. Eric Jones, though, having a great day, gained himself 6 spots on pit road, started on the front row and led once for at least 4 laps. So good to see the 43 running well in the top 10. I told you, bet him on the top 10 during our betting preview.
At Dowse's, I was feeling pretty good, couple beers in, and he has a new sponsor on his car this week, and I couldn't think of what it was when the race was on, and I kept calling it the Joe Bonamassa car. I'm going, what is the Joe Bonamassa car? And I don't know if he's like a big guy, Whitey, like that's like popular, or is he a local popular guy or not? But like, I'm like, it looked like Bonamassa on the car, and I just couldn't. I was dying the whole night. I'm like, where's the Joe Bonamassa car?
If you're listening at home, you're like, who the hell is Joe Bonamassa? Joe Bonamassa is a blues guitarist. He comes to the FM Kirby Center like once a year, right around us. But no, he's a big touring act. Guitar guys definitely know Joe Bonamassa.
But it was a Bomarito was his was the actual sponsor on the car. And I just thought that was funny all day. That's how I recognized it.
That was a great looking car, great looking paint scheme with the red, black, and blue. I thought that looked real sick. Should have ran it last week for the Coke 600.
I know.
Ross Chastain, the human wrecking ball yesterday, got himself an 8th place finish. So he was able to pass Denny Hamlin and make minimum speed after one of his incidents. Christopher Bell, he was my pick to win last week on the podcast. He got himself another quiet top 10, finished 9th. Didn't really see him up front too much, but he was still in the top 10. And then rounding out the top 10, got to give it to the dinger, AJ Allmendinger, pulling double duty. He looked tired after that race, but it was worth it. Got himself a top 10 finish. And then I want to give some love to Austin Cindric. Pulled off an 11th place finish. All those Penske guys were super fast. He led once for 26 laps. And I don't expect a whole lot out of rookies. I know he won the Daytona 500, but I still always like to keep my expectations low when it comes to rookies. But he seems to be running with flashes of brilliance here and there. Just still struggles here and there too. But a good day for Austin Cindric. And got to give a shout out to 18th place Michael McDowell. It doesn't show his day though. He was running within the top 10 for a good portion.
He led.
He was almost my checkers because of how great of a race and just overall his season. Like, he's really coming and basically, I mean, by the end of this, it's going to be his hands down best career season ever in the sport. And, you know, he better be thanking, you know, the NASCAR for having this new car because it really is helping his career out tremendously.
Yeah, led for 34 laps on Sunday, and I was getting nervous. We bring up our fantasy teams all the time, and I was having an excellent fantasy day. Terrible driver day, excellent fantasy day. But there was one point where Michael McDowell was leading, and our buddy's wife, Kimmy, Shredder's wife, Kimmy, she had Michael McDowell in the lineup. She saw something. She knew She knew he ran well in practice, and he was getting her some good points for a while there. I was like, man, if he pulls off a top 5, I'm gonna be screwed in fantasy because she's running second in our overall point standings. I took second this week, baby. I moved up to second. I'm feeling good. Even if
you won the week and you took second in the overall standings, and good for you, man. Hey, let's give him a little golf clap for winning the fantasy this week.
And I'm sure I'll have a terrible day in Sonoma. I'll pick all the wrong drivers. They'll get me
That's the Whitey I know and love right there. That's the Whitey I know and love.
They'll get me no stage points, and I'll drop right back to 5th, and Matt will move up to 2nd or something. But that's all. That's all I have for race notes. Is there anything else that you guys saw that maybe I missed?
I think we
covered. No, the only other thing that I was disappointed in myself was these last couple of weeks. I've been watching them either having a party or over a friend's house, and I missed out on the broadcast, the commentary. And I heard Kenny Wallace was absolutely phenomenal in the booth. On Twitter, everyone loved him, and I just heard great things about him, and I was kind of disappointed, and I felt I should actually bring him up and give him a little airtime here and appreciate him showing up and doing a great job, apparently.
Eric, thank you so much for bringing him up because I would have forgot to, and I wanted to make it a point to.
Yeah.
I love Kenny Wallace. I think he's absolutely hysterical.
He's insane.
Crazy.
He's absolutely insane.
But the thing that I appreciate most about Kenny Wallace is that he literally says exactly what is on his mind at all times, and he doesn't care. He doesn't give a shit. He's in his own little world, and I love him for it. And I was actually laughing when I saw him get in that booth. Like, oh my God.
I was nervous. Actually. I'm like, what are they doing?
Fox is really mailing it in because Kenny Wallace is going to say something that they have to
apologize for.
Real quick. Yeah. Sorry for the technical difficulties here because Kenny Wallace just said something, but no,
I heard he meshed really well though, and I was kind of like disappointed I didn't get to hear it.
He did a great job. He's funny as hell, and he put the rumors to bed today. He made one of those crazy ass videos of him in his garage, saying like, "Listen, it's not happening. It was a one-off situation. I love my life too much. I'm not going back to full-time TV.
It's like I'm not traveling. That's basically what it comes down to.
He hates flying, apparently.
I don't blame him. I hate flying too. It always messes with my eardrums.
So he's not coming back for a full-time gig, but he was really good, and listen, another guy, too, that gets a lot of shit, Mikey Waltrip.
I was going to say that, too. Mikey does a great job in the booth.
Us three have talked about this before, and you guys know my feelings on Michael Waltrip. I love him. I think he's an acquired taste for sure, but I think when he's in the booth versus...
I love him in the booth for the trucks. He is absolutely spot on.
Michael Waltrip in the booth versus Gridwalk Mikey are two completely different people. Yeah. And when Michael Waltrip's in the booth, he's knowledgeable, he's funny, he brings a good energy to the race, and if you really listen to him, like he really knows what he's talking about. He predicts a lot of things correctly. So I really like Mike in the booth.
Yeah, the guy knows racing. There's a reason why he had a 30-year-long career driving cup cars, even if the wins didn't show it. He knew what he was doing.
Dale Earnhardt saw something in him that no one else saw. So he had something.
And it is unfortunate. I feel like people really shit on him for the grid walk, which I don't mind. I mean, at this point, it's like a little overplay. It's like, maybe we should move away from this.
It's hokey. But, it's awkward. Sometimes it's funny. But, like, at the end of the day, like, come on.
But him doing trucks, like, I think he's great. I think who else does trucks? Vince Welsh, right?
Yeah.
I think he's excellent. People shit on him all the time too, because sometimes you'll stumble over your words coming to the checkered flag and stuff. He'll make some weird calls, but that's live broadcasting. That happens to every person who does live television in the world, So I think he gets shit on a little bit too much. I love Mikey in the booth. I think he did a great job, and I love Kenny Wallace. And at first, when I first started following him on Twitter, I'm like, this guy's fucking, I hate this guy. And he just grows on you where you're like, no, I fucking love this guy.
He's like probably a lot to deal with.
I couldn't
exhausting to be on the road with.
I couldn't imagine what his wife goes through every day.
Yeah,
what was it last week? We sent a video on Twitter in our DMs where it was like him with a pot on his head, just smashing into stuff in his kitchen. I'm like, his wife had to film this for him at 2 a.m. You know, like just an insane man.
But you know what? God love him. He means well. He loves racing, and that's what we're all about.
I like him better than Rusty, I'll tell you that much. Anyways, here on the Bump and Run podcast, everyone loves to talk about the leader and who won Joey Logano. We like to talk about who came in last place too. And this week it was one Corey LaJoie. He left the race early, kind of quietly. They didn't bring it up much. I guess he had engine issues. There was no real report on why he pulled off. Other than that, even Mike Joy goes, "Oh, Corey LaJoie pulling off. Not sure what's going on there." But yeah, Corey LaJoie coming in last. Man, what a struggle Corey LaJoie's been having. I had high hopes for that Spire team. Last year, of course, was their first year.
They show glimpses here and there. They even when at Dover, he had a decent car at Dover running in the top 15 and showing some promise. And it's just there's certain weeks when he's just awful, just god awful, or his equipment fails like this past Sunday.
Watch for him coming up at Atlanta in a couple of weeks. He's got the super speedways down, man.
No, he does. He's really good at super speedways. Sometimes a little too aggressive though. He kind of pulls Ross Chastain and puts himself into situations where I bet he regrets in the end. But I don't know. I look at Spire and that full-time car differently from what Spire used to be, running part-time, kind of just collecting checks. And I compare it to, Trackhouse in 2311, who all started at the same time. I was comparing all those teams to each other, and Spire really, I mean, even compared to new teams for this year, struggling. I don't know. I wish better for Corey LaJoie because I like him too. He has a lot of fans. He has a good personality. And I wish he would just, kind of get it together as a whole organization. But other than that, that's all I have. I got no pickle lanes this week. I couldn't really think of anything to debate other than what we were already probably going to talk about with being, Ross Chastain and Danny Hamlin and all that stuff. So should we just move right into the next week preview?
Let's do it.
A quick episode this week. We are heading to wine country, Sonoma, California. Truck Saturday night, 7:30 on FS1 for the DoorDash 250 Xfinity off this week. And then Cup going to be there Sunday, 4 p.m. for the Toyota/Save Mart 350 on FS1. And that is 350 kilometers. Because I was like, oh, it's like 200 some miles. It's like, well, it can't be 350 laps. So I had to do the math, and 350 kilometers, like 218 miles. So we're heading to road course. We're in kilometers. We're in wine country. It's a 4 p.m. start. It's got recipes for all sorts of stuff. I don't know where I'm going with this, but practice and qualifying Saturday, 4:30 p.m. We're going to miss it because we're going to be at the wedding, but it should be a good time there. To review our picks, we mentioned at the top of the show, Matt got his second pick win right for the season. Picked Joey Logano to win. He did. That is our third in a row and our fifth overall this season. And I picked Christopher Bell. He got me 34 points. Matt, you got 44 points. And then Eric picked Kevin Harvick to win. He got you 4 points. He had a rough one and a tire go down. But if you
that was late too. Son of a bitch.
Was late. But if you guys aren't tailing some of these bets or betting in the top 10, you're missing out on money. We're on a hot streak. Hopefully we don't cool down. California's hot this time of year, so I think we're gonna keep it rolling. But Matt, do you have the stats we need to make our bets for this week in wine country in Sonoma?
I am pulling them up as you talk, buddy. So yes, I do.
I'm not sure where I want to go this week, to be honest with you.
I don't even need the stats.
I don't either.
My gut already told me who I want to go with, and it's gonna be not who you guys think.
All right, well, we're in luck because Eric, you get to pick first. But first, Matt, give us those numbers.
So I will give you the odds as of tonight, June 6th, Monday, June 6th. Again, these odds are going to change after qualifying and practice later on this weekend. But the top 10 in the odds are now. These lines are, as always, provided by DraftKings Sportsbook. We'll start with Austin Cindric, Chase Briscoe, and Christopher Bell and Ryan Blaney, all at plus 1,400. I really like Christopher Bell's odds there, plus 1,400. I really, really like that. He won at Daytona Road Course last year. Again, I think Toyotas are going to be strong this year. I really like that Christopher Bell at plus 1,400 for a value pick if you want to win some money.
Yeah.
AJ Allmendinger and Denny Hamlin and Ross Chastain all plus 1,200. Kyle Busch plus 1,000. Martin Truex Jr. plus 900. Kyle Larson at plus 650. And then, of course, our road course ace until proven otherwise, Chase Elliott is a plus 550 to win the race this weekend at Sonoma.
All right, Eric. You got last this week, so you get to pick first. And you said you already know who you're going with. So who are you going with?
I had a gut feeling about this, and it might come back to burn me here as far as our little contests and points and stuff go. And, you know, I know we're only allowed to pick people 5 times, and I've done okay with that. There's parity this year, so that kind of, put a hinder on maybe that being a difficult thing for us over the season. But I got to go with the guy who is going to have a lot of his amigos at this racetrack, and
okay.
I'm going with the 99 of Daniel Suarez. He tends to do well at these road courses, and with all the drama on the number 1 team and his teammate, I think you're going to see him fly under the radar and have a great day at Sonoma and get a win, his first one in the Cup.
You know, Suarez is one of those guys I always play at road courses on fantasy, and it never works out for me. He runs really well, and then something happens. So I'm hoping for you, and I'm hoping for Daniel that it goes his way this weekend, and he gets that win. I'm going second. It's been a while since I heat and hot and before my pick, because
here we go.
I want to stay away from Hendrick. I want to stay away from Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott. Martin Truex Jr. has been quiet. Bell's a good pick. I'm going with Chase Briscoe, though. He was in it in Indy. I think he's a pretty decent road course racer. He's put himself into some precarious situations lately, but I think he's going to be a factor at Sonoma. I'm going Chase Briscoe for the win.
There were 3 names that I wrote down. All 3 names were JGR Toyota drivers. There's one name in particular I really wanted to pick, and you guys just gave him to me. He, in the last 4 races at Sonoma, has finished in the top 4, the top 5 all 4 times. Now, he has not won, but he's been knocking on the door. He also has the best average finish of a 4.3 the last 4 races at Sonoma. The Candyman wins at Sonoma.
Okay.
Kyle Busch.
Old Kyle Busch. That's your 3rd pick for Kyle Busch.
That's okay.
Keep that in mind. Come around playoff time. Just saying. Asset allocations. But no, I think we all have good picks. Actually, I'm a little nervous about my pick, to be honest with you. Maybe I wouldn't tail me this week, but I'm hopeful. We'll see what happens. We are 15 races in. We have 11 different winners. Will we see a 12th different winner here at Sonoma? We've got Austin Cindric, Kyle Larson, Alex Bowman, Chase Briscoe, William Byron, Ross Chastain, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, and Kurt Busch all locked into the playoffs so far. Can Daniel Suarez sneak himself a win in wine country and maybe go wild for the rest of the week, since we have an off weekend after that, celebrate his first Cup win ever? Will Kyle Busch get that win at Sonoma that he's been knocking at for so long now? Or will Chase Briscoe get road redemption from Indianapolis last year? Or will he get into Denny Hamlin once again? We will find out this Sunday, 4 p.m. for the Toyota/Save Mart 350 on FS1. And we will break it all down for you Monday night. For Matt the Statman Reilly, for Eric Daytona Ron, I'm Michael D. White saying have a good night.
The bump and run.
There it is.